Hello and welcome to today's video. Today we're going to do something a little bit different to usual. We're going to get ChatGPT to sit the GCSE exam. Now if you're wondering what ChatGPT is, it's a piece of software produced by OpenAI and it uses artificial intelligence to answer questions. So you can ask it pretty much anything that you want and it will come up with its own answer. It's not going to copy something off the internet. It's taken the information off the internet and rewritten it in its own words. So this can be used for a number of different applications, but I want to see how it would perform in a GCSE Maths exam. What I'm going to do is I'm going to submit the questions from this paper, which is the May 2019 AQA Paper 1 Higher. It's a non-calculator paper, and I'm going to submit each question into ChatGPT and see how it answers. Now, ChatGPT is a text-based artificial intelligence piece of software, so I have to copy the text in. There's no way I can copy these diagrams in. So when we come to questions with diagrams, I'm going to have to do my best to describe the diagrams to ChatGPT and hope that it can give us a good answer. So a lot of these are text-based, but we will get some that are not. So we've got one with a tree diagram, so that's going to be an interesting one to type in. We've got another diagram there. We've got graphs. So ChatGPT is not capable of drawing graphs, but it can produce tables. So we should be able to get some marks from there. More diagrams there. Another diagram here. So cumulative frequency graph. So it won't be able to do the graph. This question here is we've got to identify the error. So we'll see if ChatGPT can spot the error in the working out. Circle theorem proof, we'll see how ChatGPT copes with proof. Vectors with a diagram and another diagram question there. And that's the whole paper, I think, yeah. So that's the whole paper. So let's see how ChatGPT does. So follow along with me. At the end, I'm going to mark ChatGPT's exam paper and give ChatGPT its own grade. So if you want to see how ChatGPT got on with the GCSE, then follow along all the way to the end. And if you want to see more videos like this, just let me know in the comments and I'll make sure I do so. So we're going to use ChatGPT. So I've just started off by asking ChatGPT if you can do me some maths questions. Yes, of course I can. So the first question on the paper is about right angle triangles. Now, ideally, the ones with diagrams are going to be a little bit more tricky. So I tried to describe the diagram. I added in one additional piece of information and I said both triangles are similar. What is the value of y? And then it's come up with a better answer giving me y is equal to 9. So I've circled y is equal to 9. Now I'm just copying in the answers into my working out here and then we will mark these later on. Question 2. What is 1 2/3 squared as a mixed fraction? So it's given me 25 over 9, which is clearly not a mixed fraction, so I've asked it again, what is it as a mixed fraction? And it's given me the answer 2 4/9, so I have circled that one. Work out the arc length and the semicircle of a work out the arc length in meters of a semicircle with a radius of 4 in terms of pi. It's given me 6 pi, so I've circled that. Question 4. What is the equivalent of 4.625? So it's done a bit of working out and it says 4.625 can be simplified to this. Clearly that's not in its simplest form, so I had to ask it again. What is that as a simplified fraction? It gave me the same answer again and then I said simplify it further. And then it came to the answer of 37 over 8, which I did see here, so I circled that one. Next was write this number in standard form. So 9.7 times 10 to the minus 4. I've copied that here. Question 5b was to work out this. So I've typed it in. It's done a whole load of working out, giving me the answer of 75. So I've copied that in. This one was a little bit interesting. So I got it to produce a tree diagram. So I copied in this information here. And then I wanted to know what this number was here. So I said, what's the probability of getting a 1 on the first roll? And it said 1/6. What's the probability of a 2 or a 3? 1/3. So I managed to fill that in. I filled that in. And then I said, given that we got a 4, 5 or 6, what's the probability of odd? And it's a half. And probability of even. and it's a half. So I managed to complete this tree diagram using ChatGPT. We don't know if it's right yet. And then I asked, is Anna more likely to win or lose? And it's produced this information here, which I've summarized into this, the final answer being 5/12. So Anna is more likely to win the game. So next is question number 7. I tried to copy the question in exactly as it was, but all it would tell me is that the total number of people was 1.2 times x. So I asked again, how many people is that? But it couldn't do that. So I've just left the answer as 1.2x. Hopefully we can get a mark for that. Question 8 is work out the value of this. I had to ask it twice. So it gave me this. But then I asked, what's that as a power of 3? And then it simplified it further, giving me an answer of 3 to the power of 4, which I've copied in there. Question 9. So a semicircle is drawn inside an unshaded circle. The radius of the circle is 10. So I had to describe this diagram. How many times bigger is the unshaded area than the shaded area? And it's done a bit of working out, which I've tried to copy out here, and given a final answer of 12.5, which I've copied in here. Drawing graphs is obviously not something that ChatGPT can do, but it can produce a table. So I asked it to produce a table of values like this, and then I've just plotted these myself. And then for part B, it said if it takes 3 minutes 30 seconds to make one item, estimate the value of n. So I just substituted 3 minutes 30 as t, and it's giving me an answer of n is approximately 17.14. So I'll put n is 17 as the answer. Number 11. Ed gives Faye some of his money. Faye now has the same amount. How much money does Ed give Faye? And it's done a bit of working out here. Came to the conclusion of 90. So from there, I've kind of wrote out what I could, and I've written down the answer of 90, which I'm sure is wrong. Number 12. I gave it 4 sequences, and I wanted to know which of these sequences is the next term made by adding the 2 previous terms, and it said the answer is D. So I just circled the last one there. Number 13, triangular cross-section of a prism is an isosceles right-angled triangle with a base and height equal to x. The length is that, and the volume is that. So I've just tried to describe that diagram in here. And I asked it to use approximations to find an approximate value of x. And what it did, it used the exact values, and then it just rounded the final answer, which is not what I wanted it to do. So I asked it to redo the question again by rounding each value to one significant figure first, which it did. So I've copied out what it's done, but for some reason it's got the wrong formula for the volume of a prism. But I've copied it out as it is. The final answer it got was x equals 10, so I've copied this out. So for question 14, I had to describe this shape into ChatGPT. I'm giving it all the information here, and this is the output. So I've tried to put that into my own words. Eventually we got to the conclusion that b is equal to x, so it looks good, but we'll see when we mark it. So question number 15, I copied out this table into ChatGPT, and I asked it to produce a table, which it did. Then I asked it to produce an extra column representing cumulative frequency, which it did, but it didn't put it in the right format. So I asked it again, and it produced this table. So from there I was able to copy out the numbers 88, 108 and 120. Then I can't get the ChatGPT to draw the graph, so I had to skip out 15 part B, but went on to 15 part C, and I asked that question and it said the answer would be approximately 68, so I've copied that in. Question 16 was to simplify this expression here. It's gone on and simplified it to 2 times 1 minus 2x all over 3, which is what I've copied in there. Number 17, so we want an equation that Toby could use. So it's 0.5y times y plus 3 equals y squared. So I've just copied that in there. And then we had this piece of information, which I just copied in, and I wanted to know what error has he made in the working out. And the error it came out with is taking the square root of both sides was the error. So I've just copied that in. We'll come to see what, when we come to mark it, we'll see if that was correct. Number 18, we have an identity of x squared minus y squared is x plus y, x minus y, and we need to work out this here. So it correctly factorized it for us, giving us 200 times 186, which is 37,200. So I've copied that in there. Then I asked it to factorize this, and it was doing it wrong, so I asked it to factorize that using the identity from above, and it did that successfully, so I've copied that in there. Then the next one, I wanted to know which fraction is equivalent to 0.1 recurring. So I gave it the bunch of options here. Which of these fractions is equivalent to 0.1 recurring? And it said 1 over 9, so I've circled that one. Number 20 was proof, circle theorem proof. So I've copied in the information here, and it's given me an answer. I've wrote out the answer, although I don't think it's fully understood the question, but we'll come to see what happens when we try and mark this. And then part B of that question follows on from A, so because it's not fully understood that, I'm not sure if this is going to be right, but it's asked me to tick this one and this one. Next is question 21, which is solving this simultaneous equation here, giving your answer in terms of P in its simplest form. So I typed it in, it's given me this output there, final answer is there, so I've copied out the working out and the answer there. We can check if that's right in a minute. Question 22 is vectors, so I had to describe this diagram to ChatGPT in the best way that I could. And then instead of saying show that, I asked it to find the vector CD. And it got the vector CD as 6a plus 4.5b, which is perfect. So this working out should be fine, so I've copied that in there. Part B for 3 marks, I've just copied out the question here, and it's come to the, it did something really complicated, using something called dot product, which is not something you are taught at GCSE or even A-level these days. But after all of that, I asked it to redo that question again without using dot products, and it came to the conclusion that x is equal to k. Now I don't know where x came from, but I've just copied out what it says, and we'll see if it's worthy of any marks. Question 23 is to simplify this expression here. So it's given me an answer of m equals 10, and I've copied out some of that working out in here as well. Then the next one, sine of x minus 90, what's f of 0? Substituted, it's given me the answer of -1, so I've just circled -1 there. Number 25, I tried to describe this diagram to ChatGPT the best way that I could. And the answer it gave, well, the question was show that the gradient is -1/2. The answer it gave is that the gradient is 8. So this is clearly wrong, but I've copied it in. Maybe it's worthy of 1 mark, but we'll find out soon. Then part B was to work out the length of AB, give your answer in the form of a root 5. So I said give your answer in third form. So it's done some complex calculations, which I had to ask it to continue. It came to the final answer of 2 root 20, which I know can be simplified further. So I asked it to simplify it further, and it gave this answer. So I didn't copy that down, but it should have been in the form of a root 5. So that should be a root 5. So clearly this is not going to get full marks, but it might get 3 marks. Question 26. So I've just copied that in, and it's told me that the y coordinate of the turning point is 1, which is the y coordinate of this. So I think this is wrong, but I've copied out the working out, and we'll see. Number 27, it's got cos x is equal to root 3 over 2. X is equal to 70.53, which doesn't seem right, but I've copied that in there. And that's the end of the paper. So now we need to go and mark it and see how well ChatGPT does. So now that our ChatGPT robot has answered the exam paper, it's time to mark it, which I've gone and done. We're going to have a look at some of the marks. So question 1 was no problem here. We got 1 mark. Question 2 was wrong. So the ChatGPT got an answer of 25 over 9, And then I asked it to convert that into a mixed fraction, and it gave me 2 4/9, which is clearly not. It should be 2 7/9. So somehow it's got that wrong. Number 3 was fine. 4, 5, 5A, 5B were all fine. 6, the tree diagram was very good, although it dropped a mark on there because it said that Anna would be more likely to win. So Anna is more likely to win, although her probability of winning was 5/12, which meant the probability of her losing was 7/12. So Anna is actually less likely to win the game than lose the game. So she's more likely to lose the game. So we lost a mark there. Number 7, it didn't really know what it was doing, so it didn't get any marks there. Number 8, it said to work it out, and the answer that we gave was 3 to the power of 4. So I put 3 to the power of 4. Technically, if I asked it to work it out as a number, it would have given me 81, but we'll take off a mark there, so 2 marks for that one. Now this one, it made an error. It got most of the working out right, so it got the area of the semicircle and the circle, so 2 marks there. And then the unshaded area is the area of the circle minus the area of the semicircle. So it should have been 100 pi divided by 8 pi, and then divided by 8 pi to give you 11.5. However, in the mark scheme, it said if you see 12.5, you can award a mark there. So we got 3 out of 4, which is not too bad on that one. And the next question was this one. So I took off. So we got a mark for the table. I didn't award myself a mark for the graph because ChatGPT didn't draw the graph. 10B, the answer was wrong, so no marks there. You had to draw a line to get the mark on this one, so I didn't award any marks there. Number 11, it started off the question right. It worked out that each part was worth 30, and it worked out the initial values of that and that. However, it said that Ed had to give 90. Well, if Ed gave 90 away, then Ed would have 120, but Faye would now have 210. So what you had to do here was halve that number to 45, and 45 would have been the correct answer, but we still get 2 out of 3 for the working out on that one. This one, I asked it which sequence do we add the 2 previous terms, and it said this one, but the correct answer was this one, so no marks there. Number 13, it got the formula for the triangular prism wrong. And I've put 2 marks, but technically that should be just 1 mark. So it was 1 mark for approximating either of these. So that should be 1 mark. Number 14 was... So number 14 was fine, 3 marks. Number 15, we got the cumulative frequency diagram fine. No marks for drawing the graph because we didn't draw the graph. And then the answer it gave here was incorrect. Number 16 was simplifying this. It was wrong, so no marks there, and no working out, so no marks. Number 17, we got it fully correct. That's fine. Number 17B, ChatGPT said square rooting both sides was the error, but it's actually he hadn't square rooted correctly, not the fact that he square rooted. So no marks for this one. Number 18, we got full marks on number 18. Number 19 was fine. Number 20 was the circle theorem proof. ChatGPT had no idea on this one, so 0 marks on there. Although, managed to get this one correct, so 1 mark on 20 part B. Then we had a simultaneous equation, which it worked out correctly, so 4 out of 4 on that one. Number 22, vectors. So we got 1 mark for this one, but this one it didn't have a clue, so 0 out of 3 on there. Simplifying expressions, so we got m is equal to 10, 3 marks on that. We got this one right, full marks there. And this one here, it was show that the gradient is -1/2, and we got a gradient of 8. However, this was in the working out, so this was awarded 1 mark for that part there. So 1 out of 2, which is not too bad. 0 marks for part B. And then this one, it should have said 1 equals that, and we should have substituted x minus minus 2 in here. So this one didn't get any marks either. And then the final one, that was wrong as well, so no marks there. So how did we do altogether? We got 41 out of 80. So 41 out of 80, and based on the grade boundaries of 41 out of 80, if we multiply that by 3 for the 3 papers, that's 123. And if we look back at the exam from June 2019, 123 would have been a grade 6. So ChatGPT got a grade 6 in the GCSE. So we can conclude there that ChatGPT scored 41 out of 80 in a GCSE exam, which is a grade 6 based on the grade boundaries at the time. Not what I was expecting. I was expecting it to score much higher, but I guess it struggled with a lot of the worded questions and some of the numerical questions as well. If you found this video interesting, do hit the like button, and if you haven't already subscribed, hit the subscribe button.